So this topic obviously is germane and pertinent to our everyday activities and customer interactions in our various credit unions around the Caribbean. And so join with me in welcoming Mr. Stewart to deliver on this very important subject.
The human side of financial services. Ironically, the credit unions would have been started because of a human component. Because there was the need to be able to connect with the ordinary man, the credit unions were formed. And as we heard yesterday, as opposed to banks that are a bit more rigid, credit unions have a sensitivity and a link into people. But as time goes on, there is some reassessment of that, no fault of the credit unions, but because of financial stringent changes that would have taken place. So let me see if we can, yeah, okay. So after the global crisis, tighter regulations and financial services were instituted. So this involved a number of issues with investments also, besides all of the regulations going in place to make sure that there is not any money laundering, etc. There's that complexity as to what is investment. We weren't taught this in school. We had to learn this many times as we made mistakes. And then you had the whole issue about managing assets. So that's not really the human side, those are the hardcore stuff. You had also the personal finance involving paying of education for your children, paying of your home, real estate, purchase of cars, buying and selling. We thought this was a simple, easy going thing. And then you're calculating interest, compounding interest, and how much is remaining on the balance, and all sort of lingo that's used in the financial state. That really, some of us have no idea what it's all about. Mortgage payment that lasts for years and years and years. Some of us, the mortgage payments last longer than the marriage. I'm telling you. So, financial services appear inhumane because it's really tough going. So the unavoidable side of financial services, really, we talk about technology. That we've got to move with as far as the technology is concerned. We've got to be aware of debt collection. It's not an easy thing. When the bank, the credit union, they tell you you've defaulted on payment, and they need to now recover, and they give you a certain time. It's a traumatic time. But it is not necessarily the issue of the credit union. That's what they must do. But it still appears to the ordinary man as inhumane. Then you have repossession of your property. And I'm sure that people who work in the system don't look forward to this aspect of it. Monthly long lines in the credit unions. Oh, how people dread that. When I ask people, what are some of the things that you dread about credit unions or that you have concerns about with the credit union? Those long lines every month. So how can we deal with all of that to start addressing the human aspect of it? It was Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who said, you might have much of the world's riches, and you might hold a position of authority, but if you have no Ubuntu, you do not amount to much. Ubuntu. What is Ubuntu? Anybody knows what Ubuntu is? It sounds good. Abutio. What is Ubuntu? Ubuntu is that humane aspect of a human being So as you see, the fog is not a very nice thing to deal with, but there's that hand that holds it up. It's humane, it's humble, it's warm, not pretending to be caring, but really actually caring. Not pretending to be hospitable, but really being hospitable. Not pretend to be giving alone for your own advancement, but really it is because we need to be able to accomplish a certain amount of loan portfolio for the month, but it's because I really want to give you this loan. How do we get that human side, the Ubuntu, in the credit union, so that people would recognize we are here for you? So, Mark McCormick, who wrote the book What They Don't Teach You at Harvard School of Business, said, I can't imagine anyone being effective in business without having insight into people. You must know people. People serving people. So let's look at technology, whether technology is really displacing the customer. Something called digital natives. Anybody heard that phrase? Digital natives. Digital natives, really, these are the people who grew up with the internet, the millennials. They switch their attention between media easily. They could watch television, read a magazine, be on their tablet, their smartphone, their channels all at once. They said they switch between these 27 times per hour, or about every other minute. Which means if they are moving between platforms so quickly, they don't read long. We are not a reading society. This is why even on their texting, they don't write long sentences. Everything is short. I heard somebody say, just now we'll have a generation that cannot spell laugh, nor out, nor loud. Because all they know is L-O-L. My son wrote me a WhatsApp message, and it's all in short. You is literally you. And I said, boy, until you learn to spell, you get nothing out of me. You send me back that message again in English. I remember doing an interview for a job, and I asked a young lady to just do this letter on the computer for me, and I told her what I wanted her to write and hand it in back. She had the letter U in the formal letter. I said, could you just read it over and tell me if you see any errors? No, sir. I said, could you read it a second time and tell me if you see any errors? No, sir. I'm just going to give you one last time. So just read it and take your time and just go through every letter. Said, no, sir. The letter U appeared about 4 times. She never saw it. You see, the natives, the millennium, they are strange people. And they populate your business place, your credit union. You hire them. And some of you older people can't understand and can't deal with them. I had one of the millennials at the secretary in my office. And it hit me how wide apart we are. I asked her, could you mail this letter for me? And she said, do you mean email it? I said, no. Could you take it to the post office and mail it? Now remember, this is a girl just about 18, 19 years old, never received a letter in the post mail in her life, did not know where it was located, had no idea mail came in the post office. So I had to explain to her where it's located And so she is now preparing to go and mail the letter, but it's not addressed. It takes a lot to deal with the natives, these digital native people. So it's not addressed. And I said, no, this address has to go on the envelope. You need to write it. So she complied, and she wrote it straight across where the stamp is supposed to be. No, she's innocent. She's not doing this to play. She has no idea. So I explained to her, I said, no, you need a place for the stamp. What is a stamp? Well, by then, I'm all flustered and all frustrated. I say, it is this square thing that you take and you lick it. Yeah? The digital natives, they are strange people. So they don't read much, and they just want things in bite size. So when you give them all of this, this is how you apply for a loan, and you give them all of that long thing and so on, they will bring that back straight to you and ask, what must I do to apply for a loan, please? Because they're not going to read it. So we are challenged by this, but yet they are into it. So everyone born before 1982, they are called the digital immigrants. That's you and I. So these people, we want a device that works for us. So your mother, your grandmother is quite okay with what we call a Me Too phone. They make a call, they receive a call, and that's what they want, information. Some of them might have little internet and so on. They do certain basic stuff on it. They don't want these complex things. Like, I'm sitting in my drawing room one day, and I couldn't find the remote for the television. My son takes my cell phone and does this at this television, and bam, it goes on. I said, well, I've owned this phone for the last 3 or 4 years. How did you do that? And he said, and Daddy can turn on the air condition too. Bam, it turns on. I say, boy, if you point that thing at the car, I'll knock you out. I am a digital immigrant. And I hear what's going on with immigrants now in the United States, so I'll go easy with that. So how has technology affected the customer service? The need to grab customers' attention. Everybody wants a share of mind. Everybody wants, what people want to do, what marketers try to do is have what we call a share of mind, where we are responsible for whenever somebody thinks of something, they must think of us. So whenever you think about ketchup, what do you think about? Right? And what else? Matoots and all of that. When you think about bear in Trinidad and Tobago, what do you think about? Carib. Carib is a bear and so on. When you think about newspaper, daily newspaper in Jamaica, what do you think about? Right, because you see, that's what we call share of mind. It's supposed to cause you to respond automatic. So when a wife asks a husband to go down the road and buy her something in particular, she wants to know that he just moves automatically and gets that particular. The marketer, in fact, wants him to be able to use that automatic response and just bring back that particular brand. That's what they do. And so, well, I'm a bit out of it because I am a homegrown. In Tobago, we don't have all of this fast food. We don't have all of these bakeries and so on. You eat home. So I'm on work one day and a gentleman tells me, Stewart, where are you going? I say, I'm going for lunch. He said, well, bring me back a chicken. Like you all hear the story already. So I'm a homegrown boy. What do you think I brought back? A frozen chicken. What that man did not call me, he could not remember. Because that grabbed my attention. This is how I know it. Whenever my mother said bye-bye, she's not buying any fried chicken. So that is what you as credit union supposed to do. When somebody thinks about a loan, they must think about credit union, not banks. And this is what used to happen years ago, because there was such marketing of credit unions as children growing up, that whenever you talk about saving money, you thought about saving money in a credit union. So we have to get back to those days, the human side of it, where we start getting people to recognize, if you're talking about saving, you're talking about going for a loan for your car or your house, you must think credit union. That is what is going to make the credit unions grow. So we need to be able to get back to that. Technology assists us to hold on to that. And all the while, attention is being divided in multiple directions, because everybody wants to be able to get you on their side. The need for more flexible but also more convenient and personal service. And personal from the standpoint that sometimes we become too detached. This is what the data says. Customers need options. Can I do service in the credit union besides walking into a credit union? Can I be able to access information besides coming and pick up that leaflet that you have photocopied so often that it now becomes faded? Is there another way I could get that information? Option must tune into the lifestyle of the people and the various stages in life that they are in, depending on the age of the person and so on, because the older people may want paper. The younger people don't. So there must be fast, personal, convenient customer service that they genuinely appreciate. Technology must have its balance. Live chat. It is said in the survey, 73% of people prefer live chat, which means you want to talk to the credit union to find out about information about loan, starting an account. You should be able to go on your phone and just WhatsApp a customer service person. Any credit union meet that yet? Are we there yet? Well, probably this is the human side. We have to now consider, because some of them want this. This is how you're going to get this generation. I remember having to have a particular issue in a financial institution, and we were WhatsApping. Live discussion going on, matter solved. 61% depend on email. 44% on telephone, according to this survey by eDigital's customer service benchmark. We surveyed 2,000 customers. How many places can we find your information? Think of it. Can I go on the website and find your credit union? Can I go on Facebook and find your credit union? Can I go on Twitter? Where else can I go to find information? So the larger spread that you can get for your information, the better it is. So I hear a lot of yes on this side, but somehow the other this side. Where are you people from? I don't want to call the country. So, knowledge management is important to improving customer service. By 2020, they said the customer will manage 85% of relationship with an enterprise without interacting with a human by 2020. Wow, we become extinct. 90% of customers or consumers will always check a website before emailing or calling a company. Why? We have gotten fed up of the telephone. So make your information accessible to different target audiences. This is a must. If the credit union is supposed to survive and compete in a modern world, you must make a spread. The technology must be important. So, but do not allow technology to make you lose your human touch, because some people have. So the telephone is critical. I'll tell you how important and how skewed we've become towards the technology, because it has its advantages, but it also has its disadvantages. I'm sitting in a particular financial institution, and I wanted to do a particular transaction. They said, well, you need to speak with the manager. I said, well, may I speak with the manager? Well, he is with somebody now. I said, could I wait? They said, yes, I could wait. I said, how long do you think he might be? While he's with the customers for probably 10, 15 minutes. Half an hour later, I'm still sitting there. I asked, I said, Miss, could you just check to see if he's finished? Oh yes, the person came out, they forgot me, human. But he's on the telephone now. So I now have to wait on the telephone. It took me another half an hour. So I am there 1 hour. And then I said, hey, you know, people don't like humans. I reached into my pocket, I took out my cell phone, and I ran the bank. The same institution I'm sitting in, I ran. I said, may I speak with the manager, please? Who may I see is calling? I said, Micheal Stewart. Would you hold the line, please? On came the manager. I said, good morning, and I asked him for what I wanted. He gave me all the information. I said, thank you very much. And I left in less than 3 minutes. Sitting in, I never told him I'm sitting right outside his office, waiting to see him. Because we don't care about humans, machinery, technology. So there's this telephone frustration. Have you ever had this situation? Thank you for calling so-and-so credit union. A nice voice. If you know your party's extension, you may dial it now. For loans, press 1. For salary payment, press 2. For general inquiries, press 3. And then you press 1, right? Because you want loans. Or 0 for the operator. And then when you press 1 to speak to a loans officer, press 1. For loan approval, press 2. For loan payment, press 3. So you decide you want to speak to a loans officer. So you press 1. So you're telling yourself, well, finally, I'm going to get a human being. And then you get, sorry, that mailbox is full. The human side. You can't get to talk to a human being. You just keep talking to a machine. And even now, you have this thing, when you want a definition on something on your phone, what's the name of that person that comes on? Siri. Yes. So, technology is really affecting us. But we have to make sure that we put the balance between the benefits it can bring and the disadvantages that it also brings. So what do? You put people first. People first approach. The growth and development of people is the highest calling of leadership. So we need what we call empathy. Empathy is, I feel your pain. Sympathy is, I'm sorry that you are in pain. But we need empathy. A gentleman, true story, and it was dealing with a credit union, saved up a considerable amount of money through his working years and decided that this is for when I become old and become ill, that I can be able to have all the facilities I need, a considerable amount of money. But he could not get the money back out of the credit union. Not your credit union. So he called me and asked whether I could use whatever moral suasion and influence to be able to get them, because he's now aged, his wife has a stroke, he is ill, and they need to have a caregiver, but they can't do it upon his pension and so on. But he has this money that he's tucked away for a time like this. I called the credit union and I said, listen, I'm acting on behalf of this gentleman. He has an account there, this is the account, this is it, and this is the information that he has given me, this is the evidence that he has asked me to be able to do it, and so on. They're having some difficulty in the credit union. None of his issue, this is the credit union's issue. So they said, well, you know, this is the struggle we are going through, and so we can't really do it, and so on. I said, is there anybody I could talk with? I talked with another person higher up. That person could help. We went as far as you can go, commissioner. But you know one thing that I never heard from any of the people I spoke with? Oh, I'm so sorry. How is the gentleman doing? How is he feeling? I know that we are delaying him and so on. We're trying our best. But could you give him more regards? Well, that man has since died. And so has his wife. And they still, to this day, the family has not received the money. Empathy. I think that he could have died, because what frustrated him when I spoke with him is they don't care. Because the human side was not there. Because they are taught this is the policy, this is what we have to do, etc. We've got to start connecting with people. It must be a people-first approach that we must use. So, building relationship with staff and clients requires trust. Your greatest resource is your people. You can have the best high-tech equipment available, but without people, you have no business. Treat your people with the same or greater care as you would your equipment. That is including your staff and also your clients. So, financial institutions are staffed with one or more of these people. Inside of your credit union, the reason why we don't have the human side, and the reason why some of you have the human side, is because one out of or more of these people are in your organization. What we call the engaged employee, who works with passion, feel a profound connection to the company. They are dedicated to it. They drive innovation and move the organization forward. They show up at work. If you have to do things late in the evening, they'll stay and make it happen. This event is going to take place. You can depend upon them. They will show up. The day that the boss is not in, they will be in, because they know that there's going to be a shortage of staff. They are committed to the organization. Those are engaged employees. Then these are employees who are essentially checked out. Just as how some of you will check out from the hotel in just a while. Bye, I'm gone back to my country. They are sleepwalking through the workday. They could not care if Monday fell on a Wednesday, they would not know the difference. They are the ones who they would apply for every available sick leave that they could find. They are the ones that if you want a good reason why something cannot be done, they will give you it. They are the ones who would complain about the job. As one lady I remember in one organization, she said the place is too cold, so she can't work. She has to come with sweater. So one day the air condition broke down. She said, it's too hot, I can't work, I have to go home. That was a not engaged person. And then you have the actively disengaged. These are people who have retired. They have not gone home as yet. They are unhappy on the job. They will complain about the job, and they have a problem with those who are dedicated, putting out all of that effort. You're trying to impress somebody or what? They are the ones who would sabotage the hard-working ones. They are unhappy, and they want everybody else around them to be unhappy. These people sometimes are the face of your organization that bring shame and disgrace to it. So how do you deal with it? Well, your staff determine the organizational culture of your company. You could say what you want about the organization. The staff is going to determine what the public is going to think, whether you are a humane company or not. So, ambitious people do not remain in an organization that does not provide them satisfaction. So you are sure if you hire somebody who has great potential and ambition, they will stay there, but they will soon leave. In fact, if they stay there, it demonstrates that they have no ambition. If they stay in an organization that is dysfunctional and is staffed with people who have no ambition to move forward. So, actively disengaged employees are quite happy to remain. They will complain. They'll always have a problem, but they will not hand in any resignation. So could you imagine how your organization will look if the ambitious people are ambitious enough to leave because they don't want to stay in a place that is not becoming functional, and the unambitious staying? you are developing a larger cadre of people who are disengaged, and whenever you bring in one or two people, you are overwhelmed and outnumbered by the disengaged. People leave people, not organizations. Because even if they leave, the organization is still going to run. But they leave because of people in it. So the human side, this is what you do. Reward engaged employees. Make sure that you always have a way of commending them and rating them and praising them. Because what you are doing is making sure that the engaged recognize how valuable they are and how appreciated they are. Never neglect to have awards at the end of the year, or when somebody has gone beyond the call of duty in the staff meeting, just to mention this person did this. After this event is over, those who have pulled together this massive event, are you going to get together and say to the people who really pulled it off, hey, you all did a great job? That's all they need. Money not necessarily it. They just want to be recognized. And then you have the not engaged. You try to motivate them. You train them. You develop them. Because they have potential. They may not have understood everything about the organization. So you have a chance to train them. And they actively disengage. Get rid of them. That is the humane thing to do. Spare them of their misery and send them home. I went somewhere and the person was very, very hostile, and I said, Miss, what do I need to do to just get a smile out of you? What is there to smile about? I have nothing to smile about. I said, I'm so sorry that your employer forced you to come out of your bed, gave you a job. How wicked could they be and still pay you? Send them home. That's the human side of financial services. Understanding how customers think is the third thing. How much time do I have? You people need to. Right. And if we have extra time, we might be able to take in some questions. Understanding how customers think and behave. Customers, let me tell you, human beings are creatures of emotion rather than logic. We think it's logic, but it has nothing to do with logic. It's emotion, according to Dale Carnegie in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said, we believe that we are rational beings and our emotions influence most of our decisions. When people come in for loan, they are coming for a loan based on emotion, not necessarily because of logic. They want to buy a car. Why? Because they like a car. Many of them don't need a car because some of them live not too far from where they work. But it's about time I have a car. So it's an emotional decision. Some people are moving out from home, so they need a loan to buy furniture and so on. Your parents never rush you out from home. They never put you out of the home, but it's an emotional decision. I want to be able to live on my own. I want independence. And of course, I want my boyfriend to pass when he wants. Or my girlfriend to pass and check me. And mommy keeping an eye too much on me. So it's an emotional decision. Success in most aspects of life is therefore dependent upon our ability to balance that emotional and logical appeal. But you must know your customers. You must have the human side to be able to sit down and give financial advice to your customers. Yeah? And so, here's what you do. What this survey showed about the human side in financial. According to a 1970 study conducted by Carnegie Institute of Technology, 85% of financial success is a result of emotional intelligence. Not body intelligence, not moral intelligence. And of course, 15% is IQ. plain intelligent. 15% is IQ, which is logic. But you make 85% of your decisions based on emotion. Many of us got married based on you're afraid to say. It had nothing to do with common sense. When you watch him and you watch that lazy bum, you say, this could not have been common sense. So we make our major decisions based on that. So computers gather information, analyze, interpret data, and so on, and give us an emotional aspect of investment. And so public credit union need to go into more research now and start hiring people to do data collection so that it will guide the credit union as the dispensing of loans, etc. Some of you probably may have started that already, but probably we need to up the ante when it comes to that now. Financial advisors need to be in the credit union to be able to give us proper advice. And investment of managers, they must develop emotional intelligence to be able to determine whether a person is making an emotional decision and how to best guide them. Because what you want is to be able to create a trust component between you and the institution, you and the client, so that they would recognize, I can go to my loans officer and get good advice. So I would be able to, because it would also reduce your chances of default payment, because some people do not have the wherewithal to be able to buy some of the stuff that they're buying. So are you going to pay all of that expense and investment to deal with a customer to be able to have to deal with default payment, or you're just going to set them straight from up front? In fact, you may very well get more educational, logical borrowing if you help them through that process. In fact, instead of going and buy this car, you might be able to advise them, why not let's take a couple months, save up some money, and let's start paying down for a piece of land. Your loan portfolio is going to be larger, but they would now make probably a better decision in the end. So, around 14% of people that win the lottery go into bankruptcy within 5 years. Why? Because they made an emotional decision when they come to spending. You got more money, but your brain is still at the same level. So all you did is had more money to spread your little brain. That's all it happened. I know of a gentleman, he won the lotto, and he just came and just gave everybody in the staff $100, $100, everybody $100. Those who didn't like him, didn't talk to him, $100. And then he bought a car. He already had a good car. He bought a car with the same number on it, and so on, and he just went spending. Well, he's passed away now, and the hire purchase people are calling. Why? Because he made emotional decisions with money he had. So most times it is not a result of market downturns and unforeseen personal disasters. It is lack of emotional intelligence that people have. So what is emotional intelligence? It is an understanding of the ability to discriminate between emotion and rational decision. It is your inner belief system when it comes to money. What does money mean to you? So for our young people, money means that I can now demonstrate more the circle that I'm spinning in. So brand name clothes, cars and jewelry and all of these things would help me to be able to define me. That's the inner message. For a man, money might mean power. So when I go up to the grocery, I don't even check to see how much it is, because I know I have money inside of my pocket. I'll pay whatever it is, even though they rob me. I don't care. I have the money. It's power. For a woman, it might be security. I don't want the landlord to come and ask me about the rent, so I will go to therefore save money so that I could pay the rent. For some of us guys, we don't care about rent. When we had a hurricane sometime, people now going and stock up for grocery and so on, and I went in there and I saw some guys coming out with trolleys. Only alcohol filling the trolleys. And I said, have you heard that a storm is coming? They said, that's why we filled up, Mr. Stewart. The belief system when it comes to money. The way your clients explain money to themselves, that is what emotional intelligence is. The risk-averse investor is part of your client. Those who throw caution to the wind is another opposite side of the spectrum. So what drives financial decisions? How much cash you have at your disposal. That is what makes you make decisions. Because when your client had one set of salary, they lived in one set of standards. As their money increased, they change their style of living. So how much money is at their disposal is going to drive that decision. If you are born rich, it is said that there are drawbacks to be born rich because you're low IQ with financial management. So there are people who I know. There's a gentleman, he inherited his parents' house and land. He was the only child. When they died, it was completely his. He sold it and bought a car. And he crashed the car 3 months later, wrote it off. So when he was selling the house and looking to buy the car and so on, he needs somebody inside of these financial institutions to put some sense in his head. And there are some people, you have to use a hammer to drive it home. So how your partner view money is also crucial, because you might be married to somebody who thinks of money differently, thinks of finance in a different way. You might have a saver that you are married to. You might be a spendthrift. But God help you if you are married to a spendthrift. So forging good relationship between the financial institution and the customers is important. Mutual trust. We must trust each other, client and business. Forming this relationship must be a concerted effort. You can't acquire friendship in the same way as assets, and so therefore you must have that trust component. The financial institution, do you all know each other? Do you know your clients? Do you know the people who come into the credit union? This is my statement, my own coin. Trust germinates after being planted in the soil of knowledge. Know your people. And this is the difference between banks and credit unions. Credit unions were placed in villages. Banks are placed in towns. So therefore, credit unions knew the people. And you must know who they are, their nature, etc. So take the time to teach customers everything that they need to know about saving, borrowing, investing, and so on. That's the human side. Learn the customer habits, decision-making process, and their lifestyle. This book is a wonderful book. William James, all our life, so far as it has definite form, is but a mass of habits. All of us are moved by habits. You tend to sleep on the same side of your bed every night. Your house will have a couch, a love seat, a chair, 2 tables, what have you. And your father or somebody who thinks they are the alpha, you'll be sitting in a chair. There are all chairs all around, and they'll say, move, you're inside of my seat. You're in my chair. Because we are habit-forming people. You go to church, you sit on the same side of the pew. The pastor looks out and say, oh, sister so-and-so is missing. Why? Your chair is empty. So we are creatures of habit. Most of everyday choices are not well-considered decisions, but are manifestations of habits. So is your client. So are your staff. Saving and spending are habits, not necessarily conscious decisions. 40% of our actions each day are habits, says Duke University. Habits formed can be transformed. You can change habits. So this is what the mega stores do. They study the physical shopping habits of customers, just as you should be studying the spending and saving of your customers. They study them. They watch at most shoppers. They said inside of that book, I was amazed when he said, most shoppers enter a store and turn right. So detailed is their study. They turn right. So what the store owners do is put most of the stuff that they want to sell on the right side of the store. They have reviewed thousands of hours of footage. Right here in Trinidad, I went at a particular place that sells cosmetics. And I stood there and I was there with my wife, and I said, you know, let's try this out and see if what this guy says is right. And we stood there, and I checked 20 people. 18 of them walked in and automatically turned right. 2 of them didn't, and it seemed as though they knew what they were going for. They went straight to it and went straight to the cashier because they were in a hurry, and they turned left. One of the 2 recognized that the line was sort of too long there and just went left. But 18, they have studied them so well. Do you know your customers so intimately? Do you know them? That you can tell what they will do? Can you tell at which age? Because what they do, they would notice that somebody comes in and purchases baby formula. So they can tell pregnancies or birth is somewhere. So they start marketing the person for that. Can you tell your customer, when your customer comes in to take a loan or to do a particular transaction, what stage of life they are in? Those are the information that gives you the human side of it. So let's rush along so that we can come out. Retailers therefore fill the right side of the store. Marketers predict and manipulate habits. Your shopping habits are analyzed and determined and change in lifestyle. For example, they can tell if you're expecting a baby. Sometimes they can tell long before you got the baby that you expect a baby. Why? Because they may also have the pharmacy that would show that the doctor had sent you for something. That tells the reason why the doctor probably sent for this in the pharmacy might be because you're pregnant, and start marketing you. So detailed. The one on this side here, $50 and $75. When they ask people which one would you buy, they said they will buy the $50 one. So well, some say, well, this one might be too cheap. So I'm going to buy this one here because it's not too far from 50. So most people buy this because they don't want to appear cheap. So they buy this. So here's what the marketer does. He will put the $50 one, $75 one. He has no intention of selling this. No intention of selling it. So what he does is change. Oh, no. Let me correct that. The study said most people buy the $50 one and not want to go to the 75 because they say, well, it's kind of close. So what they do is put the more expensive one here so that you will now change your mind from this so that it will be in between both of them. Yes? So you'll buy the $75 one, but they had no intention of selling the 121 because they manipulate our minds and our thoughts. You need to know your customers. They do. And so, can the savings and spending habits of customers inspire credit unions to offer particular loans specific to individual customers? Can you use data for clues according to age, family size, and goals in a person's life? Can you tell when they become in university or they just finished university and they now come out on the job market? Can you tell that? Well, if you can't, then we should, because that's the human side of financial services. Jim once said, no man can drift to the top of a hill. You've got to study people and consciously move them. And so therefore I hope that I've been able to affect you in some way to help you understand at least a human side to your financial services. Thank you very much.
Is Mr. Stewart in the right business? Okay, so he's not a stand-up comedian. By virtue of your acknowledgement, I think he did justice to the subject. So let's give him another round of applause.
Thank you.
Don't go yet. Opportunity for only 2 questions or comments. Going once.
Good afternoon, Mr. Stewart. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Felicia. My question is, how do we get the digital immigrants to adhere to a lot of what you said just now? All the information is there, and it's hard to get them to, we need to market this information to them, but I mean, some of us don't know how, so how can we do that?
Yeah.
Training. The organization needs to recognize that we have two dispensations in the same place. And I hope that the organization doesn't have one like my mother. Because my mother wanted to get my brother from the States to send her some US money. And so he said, well, he can't get it there under a certain number of days. And she turned to me and said, but then he does send email one time? So she thought he could have just emailed it. So she's less than an immigrant. She's a stowaway. She's an alien. So the organizations must put training in place for these dinosaurs that are in the credit unions. You hear me? Right.
Is she alive?
My name is Winston Tomlinson from Trelawney Cooperative Credit Union in Jamaica. We just celebrated 50 years of existence. And engaged in the credit union for the past 40 years. And simple message I put in the newspaper to say, and I encourage other credit union practitioners. There are just two words I use, and I say it's E and E. Two most important words as credit union operators is empathy and equity. So I just encourage all of you to apply those two E's to the movement, equity and empathy. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much. Wise. Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Brother Stewart.
Thank you very much.
Good. Ladies and gentlemen,